What is your full name?
William Hamilton,
Where are you from?
Berkeley, Michigan.
How old were you in 2009?
40 years old.
What do you recall about your financial life before the Great Recession?
Well, in my line of work as an IT worker for EDS at GM, um, just prior to the recession, things were still, they were pretty flat for us. EDS was struggling, having just been spun off of GM, and GM itself was struggling, and they were the main customer of EDS. So things were flat. So that wasn't great. 96 to about 2001, 2002 were great. Income was going up, level of responsibility, things I was learning, all that expanding. But then, a little while after Y2K, when the IT business had kind of peaked in the U.S. and outsourcing was the name of the game, there was definitely a flattening and a sharp decline in the U.S. For people in my line of work.
When the Great Recession happened, what were you first feeling after learning about this severe economic situation?
Well, we talked about this kind of stuff at work prior to the recession with globalization, our jobs going overseas to India, Brazil, China, even Egypt. So we were always worried about that. Then with this, collapse of banking and mortgages, and then it taking other companies down, like GM going under, it went from just feeling like we're going to have to learn new things all the time just to keep the same job we have and do new things. Now it became definitely an acute concern about our ability to keep our jobs at all. So we were just daily faced with this prospect that, that it was all going to collapse. And if GM goes, EDS and all of our jobs, there's thousands of people who work in this area for EDS and for GM, and they would all be gone. So yeah, and I was on that account. One of those people was worried.
What financial hardships did you experience during this economic situation?
Well, in spite of wages having been kind of flat for a few years prior to it, uh, we had kind of kept things under control and were, starting, kind of gotten on top of what we were spending for maybe home improvements and investing in that kind of thing. We were putting away money a little bit here and there, so we felt comfortable. We were getting ahead of the game, like, we always thought we should be at this stage in our life. But then when it collapsed, then EDS was bought by HP. HP realigned everything. They said in order to survive, in order to be okay, they were going to have to cut people's wages, and they did. They cut workers' wages, anywhere from 5% to 40%. And in my case, they cut me probably $1,000 or over $1,000 a month. It varied what they did. At some point it was 17.5% up to 25% temporarily, and then they gave some of that back. But still, that 17.5% never came back. And even since then, years later, I mean, we're talking about 10 years ago, raises, bonuses, things like that have been very, very slim. So I'm still not making what I was in 2007. So, yeah. So we're not putting away money like we were putting money away before. And so that part of the struggle.
What did you think of President George W. Bush and the Congress's reaction to the Great Recession?
Well, it was terrible. George W. Bush really didn't do a whole lot, in my opinion. He was just kind of riding it out, knowing he was leaving anyway. In my opinion, he just told people to keep on spending, and that's going to help anything. And that really wasn't the cause of everything. And then Congress, it became pretty clear as they were just going to make up or rewrite whatever rules or laws they had to try to get this taken care of. It does remind you of the power the government has when they say things like, just tell us what it's going to take to fix this and we'll make it legal. That part's a little bit scary because they were changing the rules or trying to get this stuff done on a daily basis.
What did you think of President Barack Obama's and the Congress's reaction to the Great Recession?
Well, Congress, like I said, they were trying to change rules or do whatever they had to do to try to get through this, daily working on this kind of thing. So I give them that credit. And when Barack Obama came in, he was a pretty steady hand at, trying to lift us out of this. He was realistic about it instead of like George W. Bush saying, "Well, just go out there and keep spending and keep the economy rolling." He had a much more realistic approach, and I don't think he's ever going to get the credit for inheriting the worst economy since the Depression. And then by the time he's left, we actually have very low unemployment. It might not be paying what they used to pay, and there might be more service jobs than they were, but still, the economy is much better than it was. So,
How did you feel about financial bailouts given to the automotive and banking industries?
well, the automotive bailout in particular was a real blessing. It had to be done. You cannot just let a company that size. You can't just say, well, laissez-faire, that's capitalism. They're just not going to survive, because that really would have taken the entire region with it. All of Michigan would have been wiped out. Maybe not Grand Rapids area so much, but certainly everything related to everybody I know would have been wiped out, and it would have been devastating for this area. As it turns out, the banks paid their money back, GM paid their money back, the government made money on the stock that they had bought, and GM is a leaner company than it used to be. So it was ugly, but it ended up working out in the end. And again, I don't think that the president gets the kind of credit for doing something like that. A lot of Republicans would say, I would just let it go under. But that may not have been recovered.
How has the Great Recession changed you?
It's made me much more leery about, even within the company I work at, I'm on kind of an operations support type of role. I had to move. I went from the GM account to Daimler at the time of the recession, knowing GM was going under. I figured I would get fired probably within 4 to 6 months. Not through any fault of my own, but just the account that I was on was just going in the tank. So through an internal posting, I took a job at the Daimler account, and Daimler was much more stable. And so I've been able to maintain a good career there for the last 9 years. I'm not getting rich there. They're not really handing out a whole lot in terms of raises, but it's stable, and I'm not using the latest technology, which puts me at a disadvantage now. But I've just been very conservative over the last 9 years about making career changes. You don't want to be the new guy when companies are laying off whole departments and things like that. So, I got good at what I was doing at Daimler, and I've been stable there. So it's made me much more conservative. I'm not out buying new cars. My carpet is way outdated. I'm not buying anything that I don't have to buy. You know, just maintaining. And at this stage in my life, my income should be steadily going up. I should be able to pay for all the important things I need to pay for, and that part's a struggle. So if I feel like for a person who's worked as hard as I do, I work every day, work very hard, I just feel like, you know, the curve should have been, the trend should still be going up. But, you know, disposable income or, you know, income has been flat for a very long time. The economy is much better now. And so I'll probably end up having to make some sort of move in the next 6 months, you know, try to get back on track, you know, learning newer technologies, doing other things, and going out and getting myself that raise by working in a different company, because I'm certainly not going to get it from HP.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.